Hey everyone, welcome back to another Mattel Jurassic World review. Today we're taking a look at the new Dino Escape Mega Destroyer Stegosaurus. It's been pretty busy around here lately with Jurassic World reviews. That's because a ton of new product has been hitting store shelves the last couple of weeks. I've been scrambling trying to get my hands on most of the new stuff. I'm not going to get everything, but I've been pretty successful tracking down all the figures I wanted so far. I ended up getting the Stegosaurus from Target's website. It's one of the few figures I couldn't track down in stores, but it was in stock on their site. It retails for $20, and I'll leave a link to that Target listing down below in the description. I believe this is our fourth Stegosaurus from Mattel. It seems like they only like to release one per line. We got one with Fallen Kingdom, one with Dino Rivals, one with Camp Cretaceous, and now one with Dino Escape. I really like this mold, and I have to say this Dino Escape version seems to be the best looking one of the three previous versions. And of course, the biggest draw for this figure is the capture gear. It's very reminiscent of the capture gear that came with the Lost World Stegosaurus way back in the day. I'm so happy capture gear is back. I just wish more figures in Dino Escape came with it. It just seems like the larger figures are the only ones getting capture gear right now. I'd love to see some shackles and chains come with some of the smaller figures, but who knows what Mattel has in store for us down the line. So let's go over the package really quick before we crack this Stego open. You got the Jurassic World Camp Cretaceous logo up here, Dino Escape down here, with Darius. Behind the tail of the Stegosaurus is Toro the Carnotaurus. Got the Netflix logo up here. Behind the Stegosaurus is that smash paddock fencing that we've been seeing on all the Dino Escape packaging. Then on the back of the box, you have a picture of the Stegosaurus and how that capture gear works. Down here in the corner is its wave mate, the Carcharodontosaurus. My camera would like to focus in on that. I already previously reviewed that figure. Quite like that one a lot. Capture gear works great on that one. So enough about the packaging. Let's crack this Stego open and take a closer look. Alright, let's have a nice 360-degree view of the new Stegosaurus, and I do mean the word new. At first glance, this figure may look like a simple retool of the original mold, but upon further inspection, every part on this figure is a brand new sculpt. So it's essentially an updated version of the oldest Stegosaurus from the Mattel line. I have to say, this thing looks great. It looks so much better than the other Stegosaurs in the line. It has a much finer scale detail. I felt like on the older model, which I did love, the scales are really large on it. They're much more pebbly and finely textured on here. You have a brand new head sculpt with the mouth open. The head's a little bit bigger and wider. Seems to match more of that Stegosaurus that Wheatley tore the tooth out of in Fallen Kingdom. And I love the new updated paint scheme on it. It's much more naturalistic, and the capture gear is a lot of fun. Just clamps over the tail and spikes, and there's a new action feature that causes the body to wiggle around to get that capture gear to break off. So all in all, I'm really happy by the Stegosaurus. It actually surprised me. I thought like the head and a couple other parts were remolded, but nope, from head to toe, this thing is a completely new figure. It's nice that Mattel is giving us updated figures like the Ceratosaurus in Dino Escape, because some of these molds are kind of old, and I'm kind of surprised that Mattel actually redid the Stegosaurus for a mold that they don't use a lot of. Like I said, this is only the fourth version of Stegosaurus in the line. It was quite surprising that they updated it. They've been beating to death that poor Legacy Rex mold for years now, and that still hasn't been updated other than that slight retool for the extreme damage one. So yeah, quite surprised by this updated Stegosaurus, and I really like it. Alright, let's do a couple quick measurements on this figure. From tip of the snout to tip of that spiked tail, this figure is 15 inches long, and to the tallest spike on its back is just about 7 inches tall. So Stegosaurus in real life was up to 30 feet long. So with those measurements, that put this figure somewhere in the 124 scale range. Alright, let's zoom in and take a look at some of the finer details on this figure, starting with this updated head sculpt. I really like how the head turned out on here. It has a much more pronounced cheeks. If you look at it from the front, the head is a lot wider than the original one. I get into comparisons. I'll take out the old figure and show you the differences up close. You can see the beak sculpted in here. I kind of wish there was some paint apps on the beak, and you can actually see that the mouth is sculpted open. I probably guessing it's sculpted open so you can reenact that scene with Wheatley tearing the tooth out of it. And then the main body is cast in this dark green color. And let's get my camera to refocus in on that. They have a nice paint apps of tan coloration with these nice brown plates. And then when you get down to about the chest region, you get some dark brown and that tan color mixing in along the side of the body. And that coloration stops just before the tail starts. I would like to see that coloration kind of extend onto the thighs and the tail region. Like I see on a lot of Mattel figures, Mattel seems to stop like right around the tail region with paint apps. You know, very few figures in their line actually get paint apps on the tail. So it would have been nice to see that nice paint job continue down the rest of the figure. But all in all, I think the paint apps did turn out pretty well on it. Now going down to the forearms, you can see a lot of nice fine scale detail and texturing. The toe claws are not painted in, which is pretty typical for Mattel. And going down to the body, you have some really large scales that slowly transition into smaller, finer scales. You get some nice folds and wrinkles along the belly. And this paint job really brings out all that really nice scale detail. Love how it looks. Going down to the hind legs, like I said, it's pretty bare look. I wish some of these paint apps got painted on the thighs, but you can see some really fine scale detail and texture, as well as some nice muscle detail. Hind claws on the hind feet are not painted in. And let's turn the figure over. For those of you that want to scan the figure into the fax app, here is the scan code. And then zooming back out, going down to the tail, you can see a large scales at the base of the tail. And then going down to the tail, you get some nice fine scales on the underside. As you get to the top, they go back to being larger scales. You can see nice texturing on those large brown plates. And going down to the tails, you get some wicked looking thagomizers that are done in a nice bone color. And let me just slide off my chair because I'm slipping off. I pulled my back today at work and I'm sitting all awkward right now. And let's just take a look at the spikes on this figure. Really, really well done. Some nice texture. It's pretty much the same texture as the older figure, but these are all new sculpted pieces, because if you look at the inserts on here, they don't match up to how they would fit in on the original body. So yeah, all in all, I really, really like this Stegosaurus. I think it turned out great, and I hope to see more repaints of this mold because I like it so much. All right, let's go over articulation. You know, since this is an action feature heavy line, the Mega Destroyers, this figure actually has some decent articulation. Not all of it is tied to the action feature. You have some nice articulation for the head. It can go up about that far. It can look down. You can get some nice side to side movement. It can also rotate 360 degrees. Going to the front legs, it can move forwards and backwards. This midsection right here is tied to the action feature. Hind legs can move backwards and forwards, and they can also pivot in and out just like all the large figures in the line. And then going down to the tail, no articulation in the tail. This is all tied to the action feature, which we will get to momentarily. But first, we're going to take a look at that capture gear. And here is the capture gear, another well done piece of capture gear. The very few pieces of capture gear Mattel has given us so far. Now this part fits over the tail and the thagomizers, and you can see right here, this big wide open part is where the base of the tail will see, and you can see a lot of nice molded detail on this capture gear. You get some cushions sculpted in so the metal won't dig into the skin of the animal. More cushioning along the side. Bars and rebar for support. You got some pistons right here to give the tail a little bit of give while it's swinging, even though these pistons don't work. It is a nice sculpted detail. You got more padding for where the thagomizers go. Underneath, you got more molded detail, and obviously it splits into two to simulate the Stegosaurus breaking out. So yeah, really, really digging all this capture gear. I kind of wish this figure came out a little bit more, you know, some shackles for the legs and maybe like a collar or something with chains going to the front feet, but I will take any capture gear I can get at the moment. All right, let's get the Stegosaurus all captured up and show how that action feature works. All you need to do is just place this over the thagomizers like that. Try not to get my hands in the way, and everything will snap into place pretty loosely. The connection isn't strong because it is meant to be breakaway. And let me just turn the figure around this way. So this plate right here controls the tail, and all you need to do is just hold it by the front legs and push on this, and the body will swing side to side violently with the tail, and the capture gear will break off. And I think that works out pretty well. Really love how this works. It reminds me of the capture gear on the old Lost World Stegosaurus. So yeah, these capture gears are really fun to play with. I can't wait to see what other dinosaurs come with gear later on from Mattel. Moving on with comparisons, here it is with one of the human figures. Here it is with Kenji. Stegosaurus should be a little bit bigger to scale with these human figures. I feel like this Stegosaurus is just a hair too small. Not as bad as Mattel's Triceratops. That thing is just hilariously too small. But the Stegosaurus, just I feel, is just a tiny bit too small. But I'm really not complaining because I still think it looks great. And next up, here it is with the original Stegosaurus. Now you can see the original had a lot of larger scale sculpted into it. You can see all the fine scale detail on the legs. I'm going to actually take the camera off and show you guys what I mean. Here's the leg on the new one. Here's the leg on the old one. You can see the head is smaller and sculpted differently than on this newer version. Large scales on the entire body. On this one, you have a much more natural transition. So yeah, like I said, every part on this new figure is newly sculpted. And I do love all the Stegosaurus I have in my collection so far. I think the only one I am missing is the gray one from Dino Rivals. I just didn't like that color scheme, but I got that black and pink one that came with the Camp Cretaceous set that came out Target last year, and I do like them all. They're really fun to play with, but man, I do love this new updated version. And next up, here it is with the Roar-Attack Ceratosaurus, another figure that is completely remolded from Mattel. I like how they're going back and updating some of their dinosaurs. These two definitely benefited from that. And speaking of figures that need a serious retool, here it is with the battle at Big Rock Allosaurus. I'm cheating here. I have its jaw resting on his plate because this figure has one of the worst stability issues I've seen out of any Mattel dinosaurs. Those legs are stupid loose on here. But good news, they are giving us an updated Allosaurus in the Roar-Attack line. I think it's available in the next wave, and we'll see how sturdy and stable that one is when that releases. And next up, here it is with the Danger Pack Scorpius Rex. And lastly, here it is with its wave mate, the Carcharodontosaurus. So, final thoughts on this new Stegosaurus. I'm really liking this thing a lot better than I would. I was really excited and surprised to find out that this figure was completely remolded. I think it's an improvement over the original Stegosaurus. The action feature works great on it. The capture gear works great with the tail. All around, a really fun piece from Mattel. I'm quite happy with this thing, and I think you will be too. It's definitely worth to add this upgraded Stegosaurus to your collection. Plus, the paint scheme came out really well. Just love all that tan and brown mixed in. Like, my biggest gripe about this figure is just, I just wish more of those paint apps continued further down the body. But other than that, I think this thing is fantastic. Like I said at the beginning of the review, I ended up ordering this figure from Target's site. I'll leave a link to that listing down below in the description if you're having no luck finding this figure in stores. So that will do it for the review. I got the Yaz story pack that came with Blue. I'll be reviewing that one shortly. I'm waiting for a few PNSO pieces, and I have no clue where they are. They have been in transit for over a month now, so hopefully those show up. And same thing with the GR Toys Carcharodontosaurus. It shipped. No idea where it is. Everyone else seems like they got theirs weeks before me. I gotta do some digging and try to find out where these pieces are. So once I locate them and they get in hand, I'll be doing reviews on those figures, so stay tuned for that. And as always, if you're enjoying the content on this channel, show your support by hitting that subscription button just below the video. Each subscription helps out the channel tremendously and it's greatly appreciated. And I'll see you guys for the next one.